2023, a group of researchers formed the Truth Mafia, a collective determined to investigate conspiracies and occult mysteries that have been buried for centuries. With a passion for uncovering the truth, they delve into the darkest corners of history, pop culture, and ancient mysteries, seeking answers to questions that have plagued humanity for ages. The Truth Mafia is led by Tommy Truthful, a man shrouded in mystery and intrigue, dedicated to uncovering the hidden truths behind some of the world's most perplexing and enigmatic phenomena. Their research has led them down countless rabbit holes, from deciphering ancient symbols to exploring the hidden meanings behind popular media and literature. Despite the risks and challenges they face, the Truth Mafia remains steadfast in their quest for knowledge. Will their investigations lead to groundbreaking revelations, or will they unravel an even deeper web of secrets and lies? Only time will tell in this ongoing saga of conspiracy and intrigue.
Welcome, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of Truth Mafia Podcast. We got an amazing episode for you today. We're going to talk about Godzilla and King Kong. And they just came out with a new series about this too on Apple TV, which we'll talk about that, Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I got my brother here today with me, Jay Dreams. How you doing, Jay?
Aloha. What's up, dude? How's everybody doing?
Going good, man. Get ready for Thanksgiving. Everybody out there, hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving. I really don't support what the holidays for, but I do. It's a good time to spend with your family and all that, you know what I mean? So that's a beautiful thing about it. And I'm real big on turkey. You like turkey, Jay?
I don't really have a lot of favorites at all,
No?
but it's okay, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it real dry. Most people don't. I think I'm weird like that. Real salty and dry is my favorite turkey. Kind of like some beef jerky. I can't do the ham or no pork, none of that, but yeah, we're going to get into an amazing episode today. Inner Earth, Godzilla vs. King Kong, connections to the plasma apocalypse. We got a special caller. We're going to have him call in here in a minute. I'll tell him when to call in, and then we'll talk about all the different things in this movie and their connections to Inner Earth. I think this movie really showed a lot of truth. I mean, it kind of blew my mind when I watched it. I'm really glad I went back and watched it. And before we get going, guys, all the links are in the description. All Jay Dreams links are down there. All my links are down there. Even Dom, who we're going to bring on in a minute, caller, his Instagram link is down there. So let's get into it. Brother Jay, what did you think about this movie?
The truth's in the movies. And this movie's showing us a lot of echoes throughout history that we have forgotten about, that I call ancient oblivion. Things that we have forgotten, things that have been hidden, things that only certain people know, and the rest of us are just oblivious. And they're reminders. And in being reminders of the past, they're prophetic in nature for the future, for the things that are to come. So one, we're getting a glimpse into the past, into our ancient oblivion and the things that have been hidden and forgotten from our actual history and origins. And we get to open up a window into the fringe and the occult and the arcane and the things that most people are unaware of, but they constitute the pillars of our societies and our pop culture and our world and stuff. And then we get another window into the future, because these things are cyclical. The things that they're showing us are, cartoonified versions of real history and historic events and cycles that we go through in this world, and places that we can attain to or go back to, like places of creation and the hollow earth and stuff like that. So I got a lot out of it, like from AI in the future to hollow earth in the past. You know what I mean? Like sci-fi and fantasy, they're both mixed in. And like I always say, there's those are some of the best ways to reach people with the deepest truths is through story form and parables. And you know what I mean? Like that way it's non-confrontational. People, that don't get it are entertained or amused or without thought, and the people that do get it level up, and there's no harm done.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. This one was really good. Now I got to ask you the question, Jay, because it's the question you got to ask everybody that watches this movie: Godzilla or Kong? Who is it, brother? Godzilla or Kong?
I'm going Kong, dude.
I'm going Kong,
Like, I
dude.
I I I appreciate Godzilla because he helps out and whatnot, but if it's between lizards and monkey people, I'm going with the monkey people.
Yeah, I'm going with mammals too, bro. I can't support the reptinoid. Dude, I swear I teared up at the end. I teared up because Kong just looked so defeated when Godzilla stepped on his chest. And he reminded me of
Yes.
one of them little shapeshifters when he did that to um Kong, and then they had to start Kong's chest, or they had to start his heart, remember, to get him going again.
Right, bro. I already knew. I had a feeling that Godzilla was going to win the fight. If there was a fight between them, only because of who they represent. You know what I mean? Specifically, Godzilla representing the blue beam of inner Earth energy that emits up into the surface world every other cycle, and that's immortal. That you can't kill it. Even if you do kill it, it'll come back. You know what I mean? Because it constantly comes back. It constantly comes back. But Kong represents gigantism and being a titan. So if Godzilla's ever dead, Kong cannot exist. Like there can't be giants and titans in that particular age because there's a lack of energy. That's our age. That's the age. You can't have gigantism in an age where energy is being charged into the heart of the earth, but in the age when energy is released outward and everything grows and gets bigger and stronger and healthier.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and the what you're talking about with the beams right now, Jay. As
Yeah.
I'm watching it, I almost called you, but it was too late at night, so I didn't want to wake you up. But dude, it was like a lot. I was remembering a lot of stuff that you told me with the difference between the blue beam. With the blue beam kind of represents the Christ energy, right? And then the red beam kind of represents that satanic Satan energy. And you had the red beam was coming out of the AI Kong, remember?
Yeah. So from my research, there's two different types of both the red and the
Or
blue.
Godzilla, my apologies. I said Kong. I'm sorry, Jay.
That's okay. I know what you mean. So, like, for example, there's the blue light that comes up out of Mount Meru at the center of the world that represents good energy and health giving energy. And then you have the Antichrist or the anti light that's also blue that mimics that Christ like light that comes up out of Mother Earth and is born into the world. And that blue dark energy, or not dark energy, but that blue destructive energy is also a blue beam. However, that's a blue beam that comes downward from the sky and destroys, as opposed to the tree of life, which grows up out of the earth and contributes to life.
And the
And then
where's the red beam come from?
the red mostly represents the energy that comes in from the heavens. So the heavens turn red and the sky opens up, and then all of that, I believe it's ionized hydrogen. There's different gases up there that can change into this red spectrum color, but research indicates that there's a lot of hydrogen wrapped around this world. So that ionized hydrogen comes down in tentacle form, or you could say lasers, or it all depends on perspective and individual people's experiences and collective experiences with these cosmic entities and terrestrial entities, we'll call them. But the red, it represents, for me, what I call being plasma possessed or possessed by this quote unquote. I don't like to call it evil, but it's just easier to call it evil. You know what I mean? Because it's
Right.
a destructive force. That doesn't necessarily equate to evil in my book, but it comes down in order to help change this world through, uh, you know, what we would perceive as evil means. But that's the red energy. And it's reflected throughout our collective subconscious in movies and TV. Whenever people have red eyes, they're angry. When people have blue eyes, typically, right, they're good guys or whatever, or the ones that light up specifically. But that red energy is also programming. it's spirit form programming that descends from above, incorporates itself or seeks out a body because it needs a body in order, it needs a vehicle or a vessel that matches this world's frequency, which we call the physical world, to embody and to participate in the physical world. So all this red spirit or red plasma descends from above, and it comes down and it creates life. Basically, it brings inanimate things to life. And then that gives rise to all of the things that we have created that are lifeless or inanimate coming to life, especially robotics and AI and, anything that's ran by electricity, basically. So the electricity comes down as a sentient, like complex mind, we'll say, right? It comes down as like a hive mind, basically,
Oh yeah.
and it possesses whatever it can, including those creatures or beings that already have a soul. If they have a weak soul and they're good, they can become evil or possessed or bad or whatever, and they'll be thralls to the bidding or the purpose behind this red energy that comes into our world, right? Which is to play the bad guy, basically. And then that's why their eyes always light up red, whenever they become plasma possessed by this technology from above, which is energy, which is a frequency from above that has a useful purpose in this world. That's why it's here. And then you have the other one, which is the blue energy or the blue aura energy that comes up out, which is terrestrial, and it possesses things as well. So you have the creation story of the heaven and the earth in their cosmic wedding, or interactions and intermingling until the apocalypse is over, and then they're all sealed in together.
Yeah, it's definitely fascinating that they used the AI robot, because first the guy was trolling the AI Godzilla with his mind, right? They tapped into this other Titan that was like, I think he had a multi-headed Titan, this other Titan that they used to tap into its consciousness and then he was like controlling it, but then it killed that guy and took over that Titan's consciousness, took over the robotic Godzilla. So it's kind of fitting that they put that red beam in a Godzilla that's created by technology, right?
Right. And you
The-
see in that particular picture that you're showing, Mecha Godzilla is using that red plasma energy to destroy this clear example of a phantazoid. You know what I mean? This otherworldly monster that's also talked about in all of our myths and legends and religions, of these monsters that come up from the inner deep or from the bottomless pit, or however people want to see it, and those monsters that descend from above and float down during the depressurization of the atmosphere. And those the appearance of this red energy or this red electricity in the sky that that people correlate with the apocalypse, the appearance of that corresponds to either the emergence of these monsters or their disappearance. Because in the age whenever our world is filled with monsters, which is the red sky age that we're going into, monsters are all over the place. Or I'm just calling them monsters just so that it's easier for the audience to understand, you know what I mean? But they're otherworldly creatures from above and below. And the next time it comes around, a lot of those monsters disappear because they're gigantic and there's not a lot of places to hide when you're going through a world storm and things are getting floating up into the sky and getting sucked up into the mouth of Kronos above. You know what I mean? So a lot of the giants disappear because they just don't have anywhere to go or hide,
right. And
including the animals.
so a lot of them, do you think there's still some of them, and guys, don't worry, we're going to get into this in a second after I asked you a couple questions. Yes, there was a major event that took place, and what did Tommy say? Watch out for bridges, did I not? And we had the Rainbow Bridge hit, which is a connection to portals. So what me and Jay will get into that in just a second. But yeah, bro, this one was crazy. Like all the predictive programming in it with the firmament, and when he threw that thing up at the his enclosure at first, and then
Yeah.
you got, I mean,
Yo, go ahead. Sorry.
I
I'm
know
excited to talk about this one.
it's exciting, right? That's the first thing when I seen it, because I don't know if I missed that originally when I watched it, but I didn't notice it, Jay. And when I seen him do that, I jumped up. Like I was like, oh, whoa, what the? And yeah, he was mad right there. That's when that little girl came out that does the sign. And what did you think about King Kong doing sign language, bro? That blew my mind too. He can do
I
sign
mean,
language.
I'm not super impressed. Like, just for me personally, whenever we get the giants back, there'll be telepathy. So we'll be able to talk to the animals. They'll be able to talk to us. And right now, they can to those who are more in tune, but you have to be pretty strongly in tune to be able to speak to the animals.
Right. So what did you think about this scene right here with the throwing that up at the firmament?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, what do you think he was? What do you think he was angry at? Why did he do that?
Because I think he knew he was in artificial reality. What do you think?
I think that's definitely a layer to it, right? One layer is that he's pissed off and he knows it's fake, right? He knows the sky is fake and that, whatever. So he destroys it. On the other hand, he woke up and he was blinded by the sun. Remember, he put his hand up in
Yeah.
front of his face and the sunlight was too bright for him and he didn't want the sunlight to be so bright. So he took this beam that he made out of a tree, which is all symbolic for the tree of life, and he took that beam and he threw it at the sun. That hole right there is the sun. So he made an eclipse that
Wow.
led to him being free from this dome that he was trapped under. And in order, to this is like an omen. Okay, they're showing you an omen. If his world represents, if his little dome that he was in, because that's not the real world. That's just Skull Island where they created a like a an astrodome type living environment, like a biodome, right?
Right.
So he's in this biodome. He knows it's fake. He gets upset because the light is too bright. It's too intense. And he's mad because he's trapped in there. And he puts out the sun, which is his own version of an omen that they're showing to us, which is an omen we can look forward to, or a harbinger of our apocalypse or our freedom from, the world as it is today or whatever, or being captives or looking forward to the sign or the year of Jubilee. So he puts out the sun, which is an eclipse, basically. And it's also symbolic for the sun getting brighter and brighter and brighter. My theory that the sun's going through a color spectrum shift and that it's in turn affecting the amount of heat that's coming into our enclosed world. And that the sun's going to eventually shift into the blue spectrum and get so hot that it's burning, right? So this is symbolic to me also of a type of photophobia, which means a fear of light, but it's as an actual disease, it's an aversion to it physically, like it hurts. So there are those types of animals and creatures and people who have photophobia where light from the sun or light that's too bright actually hurts their skin, just like a vampire, which are
That's
related to
interesting.
the fallen angels and, the beings that descend from above and stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's inside of the dome, bro. Like he's throwing missiles up at the dome like he's NASA, trying to hit the dome to get out, yelling and screaming or whatever. And this is the same exact dome construct that they show in the Hunger Games, which you also, referred to. Like this
Yes,
is the
sir.
exact same dome construct that they use. And within it, it's pressurized so they can control the weather and they can manipulate the events, and it acts like a time dial, just like in one of those Hunger Games episodes.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the new Hunger Games guys came out. Oh, I was telling Jay about it. So me and Donut did a decode the other day on the year of the serpent, uh, the year of the dragon, and the year of the serpent starts on 128, January 28th. That's the year of the snake, right? That 128 code. And we all know the towers collapsed at 10:28 a.m. The Challenger blew up January 28th of 1986. The bridge collapsed in Pittsburgh on that exact day, January 28th of 2022. And then you had Matthew Perry pass away on October 28th, which is 10 128. And I think there will be something on December 7th and 8th between them 2 days as well. So we were looking at this already, and in the new it was this episode that me and Donut did about the Year of the Dragon and stuff. And I was already looking at it, and I told Jay there's so much symbolism in that new what's it called, Jay? I just lost the name of it.
I don't know.
Hunger Games.
Oh, the Hunger Games. Yeah. Okay.
So like it's all about the snake, Jay. In the beginning, she's getting picked to go in the Hunger Games, and she walks up like this is in the it's actually at 13 minutes in. She pulls a snake out of her pocket and holds it behind her back, and then there's so much blue coating in it too, guys. And remember, with Hawaii, blue didn't burn, right? So we had all this blue symbolism. She takes the snake out of her dress and she drops it in this girl's dress that has a blue dress on. This girl starts flipping out. That was the mayor's daughter. That she's the one, the reason that girl got picked to go to the Hunger Games. And then at the end, spoiler alert, then at the end, well, it's only halfway into the movie, because when the Hunger Games ends, you think, okay, it's over now, right? But no, it just begun. There's another hour to the movie, and that's the good part. After the Hunger Games ends, it's so crazy, man. I don't want to spoil it too much for everyone, but they let these snakes in, and if the snakes have ever smelled you before, they were created by the lady that runs the warfare department. So if them snakes have ever smelled you, you handled their food, they won't bite you, but they're deadly poisonous. And the night before, this guy right here, the guy with the blonde hair, he's from the Capitol. And this year, they're all sponsoring someone, all the Capitol members, the kids that are in this school. So his sponsor was her, and he falls in love with her. Well, she saves his life. She's just really nice, tries to help people. And he goes there the night before, and he's like, I'm going to get you out of here. And she's crying a little bit because she's scared. She's not a fighter. So he wipes her tears with his rag. And he takes that rag when he finds out she's the black lady with the hair right here. She has one blue eye, just like in, what's that movie, the Apple one we did, The Changeling. Remember the lady in The Changeling that tied
that witch lady?
Yep, she had one blue eye too. There's something weird going on with that. So that lady that has the one blue eye in the Hunger Games, she's like, that's it. They did all this, they try to blow my Hunger Games up. No one's surviving. So she sends these snakes in, bro, and they just start biting everyone. Everybody starts going out. There's still like 4 people alive at the time. That dude right there, he gets totally covered. And I mean, they're just mangling people. So she starts singing, right? She could sing really good. And she thinks that's what's calming them. But it wasn't. That kid, the blonde kid, he took that rag where he wiped her tears, and he stuck it in the cage before they threw it in there. So all the snakes had her scent. Yep. They wouldn't bite her, dude. And so then they had to let her go, but they didn't want to let her go. They wanted her to, everyone to die. But people were cheering. Even the people from the Capitol were like, let her go. And they found that rag in there, and he got in trouble. So they ended up shipping him out, and that's where it gets good. He gets sent to District 12 where she's at. He don't know she's alive yet or not. And that's where it gets good. There's a dynamic between them two that I'm not going to get into because I already spoiled it pretty good. I'll really spoil it. But that's where the movie gets good, guys. You can never trust one of these rich kids from the Capitol. That's all I'm going to tell you. You can't.
Hey, remember where I told you the Capitol was?
Yeah, say that again, though.
In the book series, I don't know where it is in the movies, but in the books, the Capitol's in the mountains behind Colorado Springs.
And that's the survival area in Chan Thomas's book.
Right.
Adam and Eve story that talks about this event that I believe we're going through. I believe we're in a military drill right now. And everything that's been going on, I think the people that are really running the world, guys, I think they're already in their bunkers. That's why we're seeing the news feed with a bunch of weird articles that don't make sense. They're resharing the news 20 times, the same story. You know, just start paying attention. You'll notice something weird is going on right now.
I
And
know
I
why
think
I know why they got the snake problem.
why, brother?
See how that in that poster, that domed roof above them has a hole in it?
Yes.
That's the firmament. That's where the snakes drop on down, and that's why you get snakes on planes, because those planes will
Ah,
get sucked up too.
in the plane. So the
Up there
snakes
with all the
represent the
snakes.
plasma.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow,
the
that's interesting.
snakes are the snakes are just symbolic of the serpent, and the serpent, people assume it's a snake, but it's not. It's a dragon,
That's where
or
they
it's a
get dropped
fireworm.
too, through that hole. So that's interesting. You didn't even know that. You haven't watched it yet.
No, I haven't even seen this movie.
So Jay didn't even know that part because I never told him that part. So the snakes could have been let in through the door. He didn't know, but no, they actually got dropped in through a drone through the top of the roof. We never discussed that at all, did we?
No.
No, I didn't think so because I don't remember giving you that detail. So that's interesting. You knew that.
Well,
You could just
that's where they come from. Like,
you already knew where it was going,
when
didn't
you
you,
know,
bro?
you know.
Just looking at that. So what my point is, 2025 is the year of the snake. Well, we know the Great Tribulation equals 225 in English ordinal gematria, right?
Right, right.
And 2025 is going to be the year I think that's going to be probably the worst year we've ever seen, guys, as far as maybe a major nuclear event here in America. I think 2024, everybody's predicting that year, but everything I researched, the year of the dragon's really lucky. I think we're going to have a good year, and then it's going to get bad. So it's going to be like a let our guard down type of thing. You know what I mean? We just had
Yeah.
this crazy year with 2023. I mean, we'll still have some events and stuff, but I don't think it's going to be the major thing. I think that'll
Right.
be between 2025 and 2030, it's going to get real. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
You still gonna do the call in?
Yeah, we're gonna do the call in right now. I'm about to
That way
tell.
we can pick his brain about the stuff we've been showing too.
Yeah, so Dom,
Because
go
I
ahead.
liked what he's talking about earlier with the um the lands at the North Pole and stuff like that. I want to get back into that.
Yeah, Dom, call in, brother. And but why he's calling in, Jay? What did you think about this Rainbow Bridge situation and portals to other realms? And some spiritual beliefs, rainbows are seen as portals or gateways to other dimensions or realms. They are believed to offer a connection to higher realms of consciousness and allow
Yeah.
communication with celestial beings and divine entities.
Yeah.
Now, and it's in Niagara Falls, and that's where the portal is, the tunnel portal in
Of course.
Niagara Falls, which is
Right.
connected to the Rainbow Bridge in Native American culture.
Yeah, that's the Rainbow Bridge. The quintessential route for that is known as the Bifrost, or some people say the Bifrost.
Bifrost.
Right? They call it Bifrost, but it's not. It's
What,
beef roast,
what's up,
basically.
Dom? I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, and we're gonna finish talking about the Rainbow Bridge real quick, which I know you'll have something to chime in on that with the Bifrost and Thor. So let me put you on speakerphone, and then we'll get back into Hollow Earth, Antarctica. Dom, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, can everybody hear him good in the comments, guys? Let me know if you can hear him.
I would ask him to maybe say some stuff too.
Yeah, Dom, introduce yourself. Dom's link is down in
How
the
y'all doing?
description.
I'm Dom. I'm a friend of Tommy's, been with him since the beginning.
You guys can
Been
hear
with
him
for about
good?
3 years now.
Yep, they hear you. Perfect. We're good to go.
Sweet.
They all say they can hear you perfectly good. So
Nice.
that's good. Good. We were gonna
Right
bring them on,
on.
guys, but
It was funny that y'all brought up the whole thing with the bridge with that, because I was definitely gonna say something about the space bridge or the Bifrost, because that definitely ties into what I'm telling you since when you've been doing this, that it's about the DNA. They're showing you that they're trying to get to the next realm, which right above us, if you, again, go back to the 1300s maps, you can find that places that you think that don't exist, they actually are real. Like Asgard literally sits right above us, and certain space bridges or rainbow bridges or trees of life or branches of the tree of life have been cut down, and we look at them and think that they mountains, and they're really not. They actually trees, and they have rings.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I've seen some of that research on that, where these giant mountains are actually giant trees that they've cut down, and there's like none of them giant trees left. You know, they ruined all them. And
Yeah,
then
they ruined them, but the greatest thing about the tree of life is that it's still there. You just look at it from a distance because of the way that everything, even with that, I have a picture of one of the stumps, if you want to call it, of the tree of life. It has a military block brigade on the front of it, to where you got to take the picture from a distance. You can't even go walk up on it, because when you walk up on it and you look at it, or you climb to the top of it, it actually has rings. It's a tree.
right.
And there's multiple places on the planet that they chop them completely down, but there's still stumps there all over the world.
And that's what you believe the mountains are, right?
Yeah, that some of the mountains, not all of them, but some of them are not mountains. They're tree stumps.
That's interesting.
And you can go to my Instagram, and you can see it on my Instagram. I put it up. It's up there. It shows you side by side what an actual tree stump looks like. It shows you the rings of an actual tree stump. And then I put the top of the mountain side by side with that to show you that they're identical. They're twins, literally, because it's about the Geminis, the twin ritual, the X gene. It's all about the DNA.
Wow. And bro, that's crazy you said that, because we've been going through a crazy amount of twin rituals. I'm not going to get into this subject a lot, but just touch on it briefly. The whole thing that happened with George in the Twin Cities, he had a twin brother, two twins standing on each end of his coffin. You know what I'm saying? Without me touching on that too much. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Who is that? George?
Yeah, George Floyd.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about the Gemini twins.
So
what we talking, just to cut it off, and then we can switch subjects if you want, because again, that's a whole different topic, but it ties into what they're doing right now. That's why they hit y'all with the rainbow bridge, because they talking about the Bifrost, the space bridge, the bridge that you can literally walk across and it looks like a rainbow, because it takes you to Asgard, or to the Asgardians. Those people are actually real. When Thor tells you that, when him and Jane is up under the stars, and he describes and breaks it down on how the universe is put together, and where Asgard sits, where Earth's, what we call Middle Earth, we call it Middle Earth. Well, that's what they call us. They call us Middle Earth.
Right.
Asgard sits right above us. Well, what we would think is the heavens. That's why in Thor, like I told you in part 2, that's why Jane, once Thor took her there the first time in the movie, and he brought her back, and she seen how everything was, and she came back to Earth in part 2. What was the whole plot? She was trying to get back to Thor.
Yeah.
And they tried to make it seem like it was about the love, but no, it was about the space bridge. It was about everything that she saw.
And then she got sick, and then the last one that just happened, she was sick, and then when she got the hammer, it cured her again, because she had cancer. Remember?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a connection to any of that.
But it ties right back to the first Thor. When Odin casted Thor out, what did he say to the hammer?
I don't remember what he said.
He who is worthy will be able to wield the power of the mighty Thor. And he casted the hammer out to humans, or down to Earth.
Right.
And took Thor's powers. He took everything from him and made him mortal, so he could understand how it felt and to be mortal and have some type of respect and humanity. That's why at the end of the movie, Thor said to his brother when he was in the machine, "Kill me, don't hurt these people." He sacrificed himself and he died. That ties right back into what I was telling you with the X gene, that they're twins. Every time they show you King David, they show you him in threes. They always do that. And I'll give you an example. Odin, Loki, Thor. Odin's their father. Thor and Loki are half brothers, twins.
Right. And the X gene, guys, for any of you that don't know, it's about people that are going to be able to get special abilities, telekinesis, all kinds of different abilities, these powers, where we see that symbolism. I also found a crazy connection to the 8-pointed star with that X gene that you're talking about. And Jay Dreams talks about how during this plasma apocalypse, bro, that's when people will have special abilities like telekinesis and well, what's up with that, Jay?
Like superpowers?
Yeah, because that's what he's talking about with the X.
Sorry, excuse me. All right, so superpowers, I believe, and I've found evidence for, existed in a time long forgotten. That there were superheroes, just like there were titans and giants, and there were all of the myths and the legends about, like, for example, like the leprechaun. That's real. It's just cartoonified. The leprechaun that we're presented with is the fiction, but there's a fact behind the story, and there's a fact behind the cartoonified leprechaun, which is if you follow the rainbow or the rainbow bridge, you get to the elven race, or you get to these, these creatures that wear green and have magic powers and grant wishes or whatever. But the superpowers comes with, I'm gonna try to put this short.
I can't believe you just said the elven race, dude, because
Yeah.
my 8-pointed star, that's who has the 8-pointed star on him in the new Power of the Rings, the elves, bro.
Yeah, that's where they're from.
For real.
Wow, that's
Elves
interesting.
and fairies.
And Wonder Woman has it on her forehead. The elves had it. That's their star that represents their
Yes.
their city. They have it.
Yeah, it's
Who else has?
Captain
Marvel,
Captain Marvel has it on her chest. Yep.
right?
So,
Captain America.
Yeah,
got
so
the
that's
No,
that's
we're
where they're
talking
from. They're from that place. These are the elven race, or but basically in order to get superpowers, all you need is a change of your environment. Basically, you can try to squeeze superpowers into this environment, but anybody that survives into the next cycle that we're going into, if there was an atmospheric and earth shift or change that was drastic enough from the world as we know it, then many of our attributes that we have now that we consider normal become superpowers in the world to come. So, for example, if there's a depressurization of the atmosphere and everything becomes more buoyant, and buoyancy increases due to all of the atmosphere lost, right? We still retain our same muscles and our muscle structures, whereas those born into those conditions, they'll exercise under completely different weights and measures, and they'll be weaker in comparison to us. So we automatically inherit and bring with us superpowers in comparison to the world that we live in today, because the environment changes. You know what I'm saying? And then telepathy, that comes in whenever you have an increase in electromagnetism within the confined world that we live in. Whenever you flood it with energy, you amplify the aura and you amplify anything that's electromagnetic in nature, and people are suddenly develop, or their inner power comes out, right? Especially those who are already related to past survivors that had these powers.
Yeah, that's Dom's theory that certain people carry the genetic trait of it.
I believe so.
Certain ones carry the genetic trait, and they inherit it. And the way that your powers work is that you don't know what your powers are until they activate. That's why they made the movie Project Power. And at the end of the movie, you found out that it was one person or one girl that actually had the ability and carried the gene with her father. You see what I'm saying? That's why they was after them.
Yeah.
And they gave out the artificial powers, and some of people died because everybody can't accept the power. It's not for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the superheroes from. That's why
Well,
and they showed you when Hulk, when they asked you the story, they showed you the story of how the Incredible Hulk became the Incredible Hulk. There was 2 people inside there when that gamma radiation went off. The one guy incinerated Bruce Banner because he carried the X gene. I mean the Y gene, because the woman carries the X, the man carries the Y. He was able to absorb the gamma radiation. Right. That's why he became the Hulk. That's why it was 2 different people. There was Bruce Banner and then there was Hulk. That's why in Thor 2, Hulk took over and Bruce was like, I got stuck in the back and there was always this conflict because he's his own being. He's inside that little guy. You see what I'm saying? Like, everybody has abilities. Certain ones have abilities. You will get them when things do magnify or intensify.
Yeah,
because it's in your DNA.
From the sun is like reinstating ancient consciousness right now too, with the frequency it's giving off. And then you have hold on guys, I had to plug the phone in, sorry, so if you didn't hear me. Then you have the plasma charging up the atmosphere with this energy. And so we see the connection to the 8-pointed star, right, with the Elven race, Wonder Woman. But with Captain Marvel, bro, what did her powers come from when that reactor blew up and she absorbed that radiation, that plasma? It radiated her body. And then remember
also, and she was mixed with the alien race, the Kree,
which is really a Native American tribe called the Kree. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were blue, just like the people in Avatar were blue.
Yeah, and the Captain Marvel. We're not talking about the Native American people.
And the Smurfs.
But they might, who knows? Because I seen that connection the other day on my Facebook, the big Facebook Truth Mafia podcast. I shared a post about all these Native American tribes, and one of them was called the Cree. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, because that's the name of the race in Captain Marvel, the Cree. Yeah. And remember, they had that chip in her neck that the AI was controlling her, so she couldn't unlock her full powers. And that picture in the bottom slide right there, that's after she pulled the chip out, when she was talking to the artificial intelligence and said, oh, I wonder what happens when I do this. And then she turned into like the Phoenix, and her powers lit up and she destroyed everyone.
Magnified.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it just fascinates me, because remember, I was talking about this in 2020.
Yeah, you was. I thought you was crazy back then, for real.
Yeah, and I told you, I feel like that's my thing. Like, I've never gotten to where you was like, what was going to happen today, and then it happened. I've always done it from a before it happens aspect, because again, everything that's happened is on my Instagram, ladies and gentlemen, and it is literally 3 years worth of me and this X gene proving and showing you things over and over again that this is a real thing.
Yeah, I definitely am seeing a lot of connections with it now. And then when I watched Jay's work and he explained the science behind how the powers activated, it because I wasn't, honestly, Dom, at that time, now I'm a huge superhero, into superhero movies, but at that time I wasn't. That's it wasn't something that interested me at all. But through my decoding, when I started doing the movie decodes, all the superhero movies had all this connection to the plasma apocalypse. And so I'm like, man, there's some connection here with superpowers with this event. And that's what led me. And then now that I watch them from a decoding perspective, yeah, it's just fascinating. I love superhero
Have you
movies.
Seen I think isn't the Da Vinci Code show that's on I want to say Peacock?
No, I haven't seen that one, sir. Nope.
I think it was the 3rd or 4th episode. They go into like this, I want to say like church or some type of building of that sort, and they looking up at the ceiling, and it's got George Washington with the angels and stuff like that. And the dude go on to explain something about pretty much the X gene, and then the other character were just like, hold on, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me people gonna be walking around this planet with superpowers? And the dude was like, yeah, like it's a form of enlightenment. Like I think I was talking about George Washington. They was like, George Washington was really into this. Like there's a certain level that you got to raise your vibrations to where when this particular event happens, it's going to happen. And that dude just looked at him like, what? And it's on Peacock. Like, I think it's like the third or fourth episode.
I'll have to check that.
It just blew my mind.
I'll have to check that out, bro. But back to Kong and Godzilla. We'll do a special podcast on the X gene. I'll let you put some stuff together, Dom. And then we'll do one specifically on the X gene. But yeah, that's just fascinating to me, that whole subject. So with Godzilla and King Kong, though, you know, they just came out with a new one on Apple TV that is called Monarch Legacy of Monsters, right?
Right.
And check this out, Dom. In the first episode, brother, she comes off the airplane. Her dad had just died, and she gets in this green car, and the license plate is 29113. Well, 29 is Antichrist, just to let you know. And 113 is a number we see with disinformation, illusion, green screen, Matrix, Dream World, right? And he says in the car, he's like, the whole San Francisco thing was a CGI. He said it was all fake with Godzilla, so I found that fascinating. And their license plate was 113, and you know, then the next scene, bro, he's driving in the car and he has KC on his freaking hat, which is 113 again. K is 11, C is 3. So that one, you'll have to check that out. I just found it the other night when you told me you wanted to do Godzilla vs. King Kong. I just thought it was worth mentioning. And then the open intro of Godzilla and Kong. Did you see that clip that said the Akkadian cuneiform tablets and the translation said giant battles underground? That's kind of crazy. It was in Iraq, Uruk, which goes back to Enki and Enlil, right? The town of Uruk that they set up. This was in the late 4th millennia BC. So it was talking about giants, titans, battling underground, bro, in Inner Earth.
Yeah.
On the Akkadian cuneiform.
That's when you said something about the head in Godzilla. The head came from I can't call him. I can't remember his name, but it started with a D, and he was a titan that wasn't from this earth, and he could regrow his head. He could cause.
Oh, you're talking about
storms. Because
the mechanical
this all
one
starts with Godzilla, King of the Monsters. You have to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Because when you described why Kong, bro, both of y'all was completely right about what y'all was saying when Kong threw the thing and why he was mad. The other thing, the reason why he was mad is that wasn't Skull Island. That wasn't where he was originally from. He was taken to that artificial world.
Right. And Skull Island was supposed to be like Inner Earth risen to the surface, right?
Right. It was kind of like Wonder Woman's island. It was covered by a storm, or in her world, it would just look like it was just an open ocean. In his world, it was a storm that you went into, and once you came out the other side, Skull Island was right there.
Kind of like that island they talk about off of Ireland. There's this island. If anybody in the comments remembers the name of, I think it's like New Brazil or something, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be. But it shows up every 7 years. And dude, that island is where the original origin story of vampires starts. Like if you trace vampires back, the furthest you can trace it, it leads you to that island, this vampiric race that, you know, that's how they would live forever, feeding off others' energy. That blew my mind. It was some chieftain from that island. He was like the first original vampire, not Dracula from Transylvania. You know, that's the storyline they give us, but it really traces to these hidden realms that are like kind of hidden in plain sight, right?
Right.
Like Skull Island, or I think it's called New Brazil. Is that what it's called, guys? In the comments, someone said Brazil. Yeah, it's this island that disappears and shows.
And calm down to Godzilla, because in Godzilla, King of the Monsters, one of the Titans, Kong is one of the Titans, and Godzilla pretty much wreaked havoc on all of the Titans, but Godzilla was the one who kept all of the other Titans in control. But that other Titan that wasn't from our world was causing all the other Titans to do stuff that they wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah,
so
Ghidorah.
Godzilla was really after Kong. At the end of the movie, after he made everything even and all the other Titans bowed down to Godzilla, that's why they panned to that spot and it was empty, because the Titan was missing and was Kong. He wasn't there because he didn't bow down at the rest. He wasn't going. That's why Godzilla wanted to go see him. That's why the movie started off and it went from, why was Godzilla going to attack that base? Because of that machine ball thing that they had in there, that brain that they was using from that other Titan.
Yeah, that so they linked it to artificial intelligence.
Yeah, the artificial intelligence, they were using a brain from that other Titan.
What was that Titan's name, Dom? It had 3 heads or something.
I want to say it started with.
It's Ghidorah.
Ghidorah.
Yeah, Ghidorah.
Okay.
It wasn't from this world.
Is there any movies out there that we can see Ghidorah in, or no?
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Oh, Ghidorah's in that one. And that island that I was talking about, Dom, is called Brazil, like Brasil. It's a mythical island. It's connected to Irish myth, and it's described as cloaked in the mist. You've ever heard of that one, brother?
No, actually, I haven't.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's very fascinating. That's where the original story of vampires traces to. That island. It shows up every 7 years. So I'm just trying to show people there's tons of stories about these type of places in the world, right? Like the Skull Island story. It was hidden in a storm. And then Wonder Woman, hers is hidden. What was hers hidden in? Just the open.
And basically like a veil. Like it was made to look
like
straight
fog.
open. And then once you cross through it, because it'd get real, real foggy. It wouldn't be no storm, and it just get real, real foggy. And then once you cross up out the other side, it's a beautiful paradise, an island that Wonder Woman was on, and you know how that story goes. Yeah,
probably like the other side. I guarantee there's other land masses that we're not allowed to know about. You know what I mean? Guarantee it. See, I'm not one. You know how like they get flat Earth to fight with each other, inner Earth and flat Earth fight with each other. I believe there's truth in all of them. I believe everything's interdimensional. I believe there's an inner Earth. I believe there's a firmament over this. But I believe I got a theory too. My boy Logan got me looking at this. Maybe the firmament is what's actually spinning, not the Earth, but it's more of an egg shape. And there's an underworld below it that has a firmament under it too. And
it's water. It's water above and water below. The firmament sits on the top and the bottom, and it's water divided in between waters. That's why we get rain.
But I think also, Dom, there's other worlds out there on the other side of the firmament. And when this plasma apocalypse happens,
172 to be exact.
Yeah. So what they tell us planets, I don't think that is true to a sense, but
I learned something.
Maybe they're dimensions.
Saying that word. What? I learned something. And we should have learned this a long time ago. I don't know how everybody's, I feel like I'm even slow because I missed it. Like you always taught me from the beginning, English language is a form of spellcasting, correct?
What'd you say? Yes, it is.
Okay, so with that being said, you've been taught your whole entire life that outer space is up. But that's the thing. You can have the outer space of anything. You can have the outer space of your room. You can have the outer space of anything. So with them telling us the outer space is up, my theory is one, Elon Musk's missile just showed you that there's a firmament. He even showed you that. That was recent, where the missile went up there and did what it did.
Yeah.
Two,
they said that was the second rocket.
Saying,
they said that was the second rocket booster that kicked in, that wasn't the firmament. That's what all the people say. If you look in the comments, I was laughing. You got to look in the comments and read them because they're hilarious. You got so many program people. They're like, dude, that was the second booster that kicked in, bro. That didn't hit the dome.
Yeah.
Did you see that video,
sad,
Jay?
Hey, that's again, I'm here just
I
to
saw.
knowledge. It's not for me to decide if you believe it or not.
Now, Jay thinks when the portal opens up in the sky. So, Jay, could you explain the part about how the elites are going to try to launch up in their rocket ships and go to other worlds when that portal opens, please?
Yeah, you just did. It's pretty much that simple. So if we live in a contained world, which is commonly accepted, or a closed system, then it stands to reason that closed system would continue to increase in pressure as life is added to it and gases come up from within the earth. So that pressure eventually is going to have to burst. It's going to have to depressurize in order to recalibrate and reconstitute itself. And whenever it bursts, we get a depressurization up in the sky. Wait, remind me, what was your question again? I'm so sorry. I'm like, I don't want to go off on a tangent.
When the depressurization happens, it opens kind of like a portal. And what you explained in your past videos, that's why people think Nibiru is a planet, because what we've been trained to look at as a planet, the circle shape, but it's really a portal that opens up. And that's when the elites, they'll probably say it's Project Blue Beam, aliens.
Yes. Well, that's when a lot of them are leaving. So the ones that have permission or that they've been approved or they're going to just risk it and try to get out, those ones are building rocket ships. They've been developing technology and working on ways to get the heck out of here because, they want to dominate in a world that has certain energetic frequencies. This world is perfect for being dominated, energetically speaking, because it lacks energy. So people are stupid and getting worse. But in a world that's fully energetically charged and people have telepathy and there's no secrets and you know what I mean? Like they want out. They don't want to, there's no way they can rule in that world because that leads to a golden age and that leads to, myths and legends and there's heroes and superheroes. They don't want to deal with all that. So they're doomsday preppers. They're the greatest all your governments are doomsday preppers and they have their elite, they're shooting up all these tests. They're testing out the firmament. They'll shoot nukes at it. Allegedly they'll shoot rockets at it. I'm not totally convinced they're trying to get out as so much as they are doing trial runs for whenever the huge portal opens up in the sky. And that's the time when, they can leave.
Right.
But they will blast off. Just as the Anunnaki were said to having all left the earth at one time, with some of them promising to return to go stay on the moon or beyond or whatever. They all took off at once. They all left because they're aware of these apocalyptic cycles when the door of the heavens opens. When the door of the heavens open and whenever the terrestrial portals that lead down into the inner recesses of our world, when those open, and then they can traverse, they can change schools, they can go somewhere else, they can, or they can attempt to at the very least. So they want to get out and they want to go rule and dominate in some other world. They're going to leave this dark, enclosed, dark city that's a confined world that has a huge shadow. We live under the shadow of space. Space is bright and beautiful and majestic and encompasses the glory of God. Like this is a bright place full of beautiful lights that glow, not a dark, empty place at all. And the space that they show us is exactly that. It's space between two physical objects, which is the ground or the surface where we live in the firmament, according to our ancestors, according to the ancient belief systems and, you know, every religion I've come across that have this type of a cosmology, at least, you know, one perspective of it.
Right.
But anyways, so basically, you know, the portal that's up there in the sky is a porthole. It's a hole in the sky. It's a black hole. It's a dark sun. I mean, you could call it whatever you want to. It's the way out. It's one way out.
One
You
of
can
the
go
ways
in or you
they're
can
going
go
to
out.
try to
Yeah.
get up out of here. Maybe
Yeah.
CERN has to do with them opening up these ancient stargates too, another way to try to travel interdimensionally. And, you know, I mean, we're not just talking about conspiracies here. Guys, they literally had operations when Admiral Byrd went down to Antarctica. And what was that called? Operation High Jump, which was in the beginning credits of Kong vs. Godzilla, right? And
Right.
then they were also, like Jay's talking about how they were testing, they were shooting nukes up at the freaking firmament. It was called Operation Fishbowl. Yeah.
That blows my
Where they
mind. Like,
I know, like they're
it
just
blows my
shooting.
mind that people can't put these operational names together and to build a context for what they're actually doing. They're pretty
Oh, you
transparent.
got
They're not like super secret names. If they were really secret, they would just say operation number 422, operation number 423, but they don't.
no, they pretty much tell you what it is. And when you read it too, they kind of told you, but they have to, Jay. It's like universal law, karmic law, you know, kind of. I don't fully understand that part of it, but I do know they tell us everything. So there's got to be a reason why they do that. You know, I'm sure if they didn't have to tell us, they wouldn't.
I don't
So
need
there's,
them to tell me anything.
yeah, me
like,
neither.
like they don't need to tell me a damn thing because the secrets are already manifest. If you know, for those that see them. Not trying to like toot my own horn. I'm just saying, like, I don't need them to tell me any secrets whatsoever because all I need to do is seek them out and find them. Because whatever they
Operation
tell me is
Dominic.
based on their own biased perspectives, anyways.
I forgot about that one. Operation Dominic, JJ Organic said.
Yeah,
What was
Dominic
that?
of the Lord.
What was What was Operation Dominic?
What's that?
What,
No, I was just agreeing with you.
oh, I was asking what is Operation Dominic? Dom, can you go in the area where them people can't be heard, please? Thank you, brother. I know you're probably
So Dominic was Dominic's whenever they were shooting the nuclear testing or whatever.
Oh, is that what it was? So kind of like Operation Fishbowl?
Kind of. I personally believe that all these different operations serve different purposes, but these ones were allegedly test explosions or nuclear test explosions that they detonated, I believe in the sky, that they just shot these off. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. Wow. Yeah, this was in 62. Holy cow, I'm looking at the government.
There was
thing.
one called the Thor missile that they were testing.
Whoa.
They did one too. I want to say, I had to look it up. I think it's in the 70s where they was shooting nuclear missiles out to the ocean. And I told you why they was doing that, Tommy.
Oh, trying to wake up Godzilla?
Correct. Because Godzilla is real.
You say I want to believe that so much.
It hasn't been seen for over 1,000 years.
Dude, I believe there's tons of stuff down in that Mariana Trench. Like what's that other thing called? The Megalodon. I bet you them are real too, dude.
Oh, there's giant creatures down there. There's sea monsters. Hey, real quick, let me read this real quick. It says about Operation Dominic. It says the Thor missile was also used to lift warheads into near space to conduct high altitude nuclear explosions tests. These shots were collectively called Operation Fishbowl.
Did you hear the first word that he said? And then y'all can continue. What was the name of that missile?
Thor missile.
Thor missile.
Thor. Space bridge.
Yeah.
See the connection?
Operation Dominic. That's the government. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Because Thor is real. Asgard literally sits right above what they call Middle Earth on the old ancient maps. Dead serious. I have pictures of those on my Instagram too. Like a lot of this stuff that we thought to be myths or magic or any of this stuff really exists. These places are really real. That's where they get these stories, because in every story it has a lot of, stuff that they added, but every story that they made has an origin.
And Dom, in Godzilla, bro, remember when they were going down into inner Earth? They had to travel through several different, I think it was 2 portals, and one portal launched them at 1,000 miles per hour. So you got to have that special craft. It's not like you can just walk down a tunnel to get there. You know what I'm saying? You got to go through that portal. And
right.
It just reminds me of the Stargates and all that technology.
And he gave her the bag. He said, "Here you go." And see, that was the thing. He already been down there, because he gave her the bag, and she was like, what is this for? And he was like, "You'll figure it out when we get down there."
Wow, I didn't catch that part. And then Dom,
that whole conversation was important.
So that technology that they had, brother, when they went down to find out how they had this advanced technology that they were going to be able to travel to inner Earth to, they went to sub-level 33. That's where the technology was on, sub-level 33, guys, and the hidden knowledge in 33. And then there was a train down there. Well, it wasn't really a train. It freaking floated like a hover train that went from where they were at on the West Coast in America to Tokyo in like literally minutes, right? And they were traveling at the current speed they showed you for a split second. You had to catch it really quick. Was 611 miles per hour. Well, Godzilla is 6'11", and Brotherhood of Death is 6'11", which is the Skull and Bones. Just these societies that have, and I'm not talking about the lower members in these societies. I'm talking higher up, have some of the true knowledge of what's going on in reality and with these cyclical resets and stuff like that. I believe the average Mason has no idea. They don't get to know the truth. Even some of the 33rd degrees. Me and Jay was talking about this the other night. Jay's like, how many 33rd degrees do you think there are? I'm like, probably a lot. So yeah, they don't all know that. It's like the elite of the elite. Certain families, certain bloodlines that probably pass down this information from generation to generation. Don't you agree, Jay, with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it stands to reason for me, based on my experience and research, that there's a very few number of people that are privy to this type of ancient knowledge where they can use it going forward with their families and businesses and stuff like that, in order to control the world as a giant pyramid scheme domino effect, basically. And that whenever they have all these little, secret organizations or fraternities or brotherhoods, they're all like little churches that support the invisible hands, basically, and their children and the ones that you see and know about. But for me, anytime I hear that, I attained this degree or I attained that degree, that means as much to me as a degree does to Kanye West. Like, the degrees are pieces of paper for burning and keeping warm. Like, the degrees are just like getting a badge or a name tag or something. The real hierarchy or the real brotherhood has no degrees whatsoever. It's all knowledge and it's all open, but you have to prove yourself through testing. And you have to be chosen and selected through being noticed. You know what I mean? You have to be on the radar or whatever. And they will first pick those who have the bloodline. And they will first pick those whose DNA and frequencies match those of their own.
100%. Well, do you think some of them, Jay, might be reptilian?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like the word reptilian at all. I feel like even the concept of the reptilian aliens is getting pretty cartoonified these days through the telephone game of gossip and stuff. I believe that there are humanoids of different types on different realms in different places, all based on their atmospheres and their environments. They adapt and they change or whatnot. Just like the animals that come down into our realm, they adapt and they change. And we become familiar with the animals that have adapted and changed, so they don't blow our minds in the modern world when we go to the zoo and we see some crazy ass horse with a neck that's like a freaking, you know, 12 feet long neck, or, you know what I mean, this weird looking rhinoceroses and hippos and giant cats and giant bears or dogs or whatever they are. Like, that doesn't surprise us because we've become accustomed to those forms of gigantism, that these creatures were once monstrous, but they adapted to their new environments when they were introduced and fell from the sky or came up from inside the earth, and they changed over time. Some changing colors, some, you know, growing fur and hair in different places or whatever. And this is also reciprocated in that Transformers movie. Wait, was it Transformers? No. The Immortals, is that what it's called? No, the Eternals. Remember the Marvel Eternals or whatever, where they had those.
That was a great
That was the origin of the X gene. Was those alien creatures they called like deviants or something like that?
Yes.
Those were the alien creatures. They were basically phantazoids, and they came into our world, and they were able to shapeshift and change into.
They were really good.
Well, that's all perspective for me, you know, good and bad or whatever. But those were according to the actual, you know, lore within Marvel, that's where the X gene came from, was those creatures, those fallen ones, or those space animals, whatever you want to look at them as. They came into this world and they brought that X gene with them. Right. And because they continue to evolve into different forms of creatures over time, or they adapted to their new environment, basically. You know, they're just they're cartoonifying it in the movie.
Where were they from though in the movie? I can't remember.
The deviants were created by Galactus, and Galactus is the eater of worlds. And Galactus created the Eternals, which were, to me, represented kind of like a mythical creature or the fallen angels that came down. Because remember, when they first came down to man, they picked up the regular rock knife and turned it into, you know, metal, and showed them, you know, look, this is something different. So that was, to me, it was like, is that what y'all saying? Because when the movie goes on, even the dude that was like Superman, his name was Icarus.
Yep, and Icarus fell too close to the sun, and it burned his wings. Right. That's all about the plasma event, too, that movie Eternals, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
That dude, the Titans being born out of the earth too.
Right.
So in that movie, the Titans come up from within the earth and they're born from the earth, right?
There's a volcano in it.
It shows us the Titans, you know, being from, or at least Kong being from the inner earth. And there's speculation that Godzilla is actually from the inner earth oceans. And then you have like other references like Cabin in the Woods at the end. Remember, the whole movie was about like trying to keep the ancient ones or the Titans in the earth.
Me and Dom was just talking about this, Jay, wasn't we, Dom?
Yes, we was.
Yep, that's funny you mentioned that, Jay. Great minds think alike, brother. Yeah, because that was the whole theory, the whole method of the movie. They were trying to appease them giants, and they were doing all them rituals to keep them from rising up, right? I believe they got
sacrifice
stuff like that going on, dude. Some giant.
It was all about sacrifice, and it's the same thing with that other cabin movie where it's about the apocalypse. Knock at the cabin door. It's all about sacrifice.
Yep. And 38 minutes into that movie, which 38's on the cover of Murder by Numbers, R.I.P. Death, Murder also 38. 38 minutes in is when the tsunami hits the West Coast and takes out the whole West Coast. And we've been seeing, just like we've been seeing all this bridge symbolism, which, guys, that rainbow bridge, that it's not done. I told you it was going to start out with little bridges, and it's going to lead up to a major event. And that's going to end in San Francisco. That's where we'll see the grand finale of the whole bridge situation. Which didn't wait. Am I mistaken, or in Godzilla? Was it Godzilla or Kong? One of the movies, the Golden Gate Bridge was destroyed in.
It was. I think I want to say it was Godzilla.
Was it? I think it was. Yep, it was Godzilla. 100% it was. Yep, I'm thinking back in my brain now. And yeah, they were all on the Golden Gate Bridge and it was destroyed in that movie. That's interesting. Wow. I got to go back and watch that one. Which one was that one in, Dom? Was that the first one?
That was the first Godzilla.
Okay. The first Godzilla. Yeah, and for you guys that are new here, that's a form of called predictive programming or revelation of the method. You know, truth in plain sight, where they show us something before it happens. There's people that believe it's universal law that they have to show us. There's other people that believe it strengthens the original spell that they're casting on the masses. For whatever reason, they do show it to us. Truth in movies, like Jay's series is called Truth in Movies. So that's a great name for it, actually. But yeah, there's a lot of truth in these movies. There's a lot of truth in music, where they show us something's going to happen before it actually manifests. Oh, and by the way, they just completed the suicide structure on the freaking Golden Gate Bridge, right as this Rainbow Bridge is destroyed. Did you guys know that?
What?
No,
I don't know what that is.
They made some net so people can't jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, dude.
So they just land in the net?
Yeah, it's like a giant net. They just got done doing it. Look
That
it up,
sounds
Jay.
fun. How much does that cost? I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to jump off a bridge and land in a giant net.
Yeah, it does kind of sound fun. I mean, that kind of people might go actually do that now. So that could not work.
Just to do it.
Yeah, just to do it. That might not work out good. And the day I warned about the other day, the 18th. So we actually had a major event on the day after that day, and it was it was tied to the completion of the Golden Gates and what's her name? The president's wife. She died on that day. She went into hospice on the 17th, the day before November 18th, the 322nd day of the year. Rosalind Carter, she passed away right before. Here, let me show you guys this because I can show you the connection. It ties into Angus Cloud, the Golden Gate Bridge, all of it. So she passes away, right? This is over on my truthmafia.com website. Rosalind Carter dies the day before Joe Biden's 81st birthday on Sunday. So, oops, sorry, guys. And this was tied into the black nobility, the bloodlines that control the world. So, Rosalind Carter died the day before Joe Biden's 81st birthday on Sunday, November 19th of 2023. She passed away 135 days after her marriage anniversary with Jimmy Carter on July 7th of 2023. Now, let me show you this, guys. Hold on. This is going to blow your mind. Speaking of the Golden Gates, right? Watch this. Let me show you this real quick. This is crazy. Them are like the two biggest numbers connected to it. So you go on the gematria calculator over here on Truth Mafia. Golden Gates. All right. Now, oops, what the heck's going on with that? All right, there we go. So looking in English ordinal, where A is 1, B is 2, what do you got there? 135. And in reduction, it's 81. The two numbers connected to that Golden Gate Bridge, 135 and 81, which we've seen, them were the two main numbers connected to her passing away, right? Which black nobility's in that cipher as well. But when I was doing, oh man, look, they took away my picture here. Oh wow, why'd they do that? This is a picture I put of Wonder Woman and all them with they have on the 8-pointed star. So I'm gonna have to go back in and fix that. That's interesting. They took that one post down. But yeah, guys, you got to go look through this one. There's so many connections in it to this event and what's taking place right now in this blog. So go check it out over on, and here it is, So this is the connection to the freaking suicide net they created. And look at the article. Wait, hold on, it's down here actually. Where's that article at? The day was 8/8 when they released that one article on the Golden Gate Bridge. Notably, completion of the Golden Gate Bridge suicide net was tied with Joe Biden's 81st birthday on November 19th of 2023. So we had, they just completed this suicide net too, right when she passes away. And then what's today? 22nd. Oh, wait, is today the 22nd or 23rd?
Today's
22nd.
Wow. So that's crazy. Today is the anniversary of JFK when this bridge happened, guys. 11/22, which equals 33. It's the anniversary of John F. Kennedy being assassinated today as the Golden Gate or as the Rainbow Bridge went down. Yeah, man, we're getting close, bro. And then it all ties back to Angus Cloud too. He had the 81 connection with his event. And remember, he died 8 days before the 8/8 event happened, and that was Maui. And that took place in the 808, right? And so Angus Cloud just came out with this new movie, bro. It was called Your Lucky Day. And I told people 8 days later, they're probably going to do a major event, which would have took us to November 18th. Well, it actually was a day later. I was 1 day off. It was 9 days after he came out with that movie. And that's when Rosalind Carter dies. So it's crazy when you see all the synchronicity. But yeah, Angus, over 5 million people searched his name that day. And I didn't even know who he was at the time. I had no clue. I'm like, who the heck is Angus Cloud? But now I'm a fan of his. So it was the number one trending story for like 2 days. And it was the number one trending story on 8/1 for, right before the whole Maui thing happened. And 81 is Golden Gate Bridge ritual. So yeah, man, that's what I believe we're coming up to, this major event connected to the Golden Gates. And if you remember in the episode where the main character OD'd in Euphoria, which Angus Cloud, he starred in that, right? The main person ODs when they're at Angus's, and he died. Angus actually died in real life 45 days after the anniversary of the show. And in that episode where that girl overdosed, the 45 was right on the freaking truck, right outside when they took her outside, which is Bridge 45. So you guys can see I've been on this bridge thing for months now, showing you that I've been seeing it manifest. I've been seeing it in all the decodes, and now it's the number one trending story in the world today. So, I'm not a psychic. It's just you see it in the code. It's the universal language. Everything was created with numerology. So there's some type of organic source code going on there. It's not like, I believe people are behind the scenes manipulating events and shifting the energy and hacking the frequency, but a lot of it is totally organic. You know what I mean, Jay? It's just some organic synchronicity going on. And if you're able to speak that language, you can literally start to see things manifest before they even happen. Like this year, for example, this year is the 50th year anniversary of the war that happened in 1973 in Israel. And it's the 69-year anniversary of CERN, which was established in 1954. And that's why we are seeing a lot of the 54 connection right now with Matthew Perry died at 54. We had the 5.4 earthquake in Jamaica 3 days after he passed away. But that Trapped in the Matrix is 69. And then the Mirror Reflection is 69 is 96. We had the Queen pass away at 96. Tumbling Down the Rabbit Hole, 96. And all the 50 connection, I mean, there's so many things in that one, but the main one you want to look at is Flesh Prison. They're harvesting our energy, and it's called Masonic number magic that they're using on us. But there is a whole organic connection to it as well, with the synchronicity of it all. But yeah, they're definitely using it to cast spells on people too. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, bro. So I think we're coming up to a major one with the Golden Gates, and it all started with that, you know, with the Rainbow Bridge. They're saying, I guess they're saying they had a vehicle explode on the Rainbow Bridge. That's what they're saying. So who knows? I haven't even looked into it deep yet. I don't even know the guy's name or the suspect or nothing yet. I just found it out right before me and Jay went live. But back to Godzilla anyways. So another scene in Godzilla that really I thought was fascinating, besides all the portal stuff with Antarctica, this is how Godzilla got into Inner Earth. And they said, let Godzilla go. And once they let Godzilla go, that little girl told him, that weighs to your...
No, that's not right. That's not accurate. Godzilla, I mean...
Kong. I didn't mean to say Godzilla. I meant to say Kong. My bad.
That's where Kong is from.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I meant to say Kong. That little girl let Kong go. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, so Kong went to Inner Earth, and they followed him down there, which is when they went through all them portals and stuff, right? And then when they get down there, that's where I seen that mountain that Kong went inside.
Boom.
Right. Is that Mount Meru? Or representation? I don't know, Jay. What do you think about that? That's what I thought of, anyways. I don't know if it.
But did you see that the fact? Yeah, they follow Kong down there, but the point that was missed in the movie is that that's where Kong was from, because when he went in the mountain,
he knew where to go.
His bones was laying there. You see what I'm saying? Like, he was from Inner Earth.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely knew where to go. So that was interesting. I was wondering that, like, how did he know where to go?
Yeah,
but more, bro, realistically, he would have never survived getting launched 1,000 miles per hour. It launched him 1,000 miles per hour through that portal. And then you mean to tell me he lands and is alive? I don't care if he's a 400-foot gorilla or not. You're not going to survive that. That part kind of made me mad. But he catches onto that rock as he's falling.
At first, when he came through, when he actually came through, it inverted and everything flipped. And he was actually trying to grab a hold.
Right.
To something, because he was falling for real.
Yeah, he was falling, dude. Like, he was falling.
If he would have fell and hit the ground, he wouldn't have got back up.
But even grabbing onto something, I know it's a movie though, but say you're falling 1,000 miles an hour, right? You reach out to grab onto something, your arm is gone, dude. Your arm is gone. It's going to tear your whole arm out. There ain't no what.
When you were Titan.
Yeah, I guess it could be different when you're a Titan, but that part annoyed me. But it was cool that they showed, because that just made me think of.
Notice that Kong had a hammer.
But he didn't have the hammer yet, though.
Or axe.
He didn't have that yet.
With that gem in it that when Godzilla blew the radiation at it, it absorbed it.
Yep. Yeah, we were talking about that. And that's when Kong put that axe in the ground, and then it lit up an Ouroboros around that stone with that his stone that he sat on as a like kind of like his like his king chair, whatever you call that. He was sitting in that with his axe like a king, chilling, and then he gets up, he puts that axe down into the ground, and it activates that blue stuff in the floor, and that's what they harvested. That's what they went down there for, that energy source, remember? And when they put that energy source into the electronic Godzilla, that's when that takes over. It takes over the consciousness when they put that blue energy source into it. Remember?
Yeah.
That's when the freaking thing that they were using to create the artificial intelligence, the 3-headed Titan, it's like it killed the guy that was trying to control it and took it over. And that's when it rose up and came out and tried to kill Godzilla. And then Kong and Godzilla jumped that damn thing. I like that part. That was my favorite part. Godzilla and Kong was working as a team to beat the robotic one. That was pretty cool.
Right. And it was like both sides, I call it a draw, because Yeah, Godzilla got the best of Kong towards the end, but at the beginning, with the help of humans, they sent, Godzilla had to go recharge. And that was what I was getting at. If you notice, where they took him through on the ocean, that was the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, Kong dipped out when he seen Godzilla about to shoot that thing up. But no, King Kong was laying on the boat. They turned all the engines off and faked dead so Godzilla would leave because he was about to come back around and Kong couldn't get up no more. So that was twice Godzilla tapped Kong out. And I love Kong. Kong's my favorite. I'm a Kong fan.
Yeah, but that's because he didn't bow down. He never wanted to bow.
Yeah, but Godzilla definitely tapped him twice. And then him and Godzilla the last time stopped Kong's heart. He was dying. And that little girl found out he was dying. So they took that craft that they flew to inner Earth and used the battery. Because if you paid attention, they said the expulsion engine or whatever that's called, that engine in it could light up Las Vegas for like a year or something, they said. So he used that power source to restart Kong's chest, and then Kong got up and battled Godzilla. It was kind of crazy too that Godzilla shot that blue beam all the way down to inner Earth where Kong was at. How the hell did he know he was right there?
Because Godzilla is the king of the Titans, and he can sense them.
And then, did you notice this too, Dom? So it looked like they were jumping down a hole. It looked like they were entering downwards in a hole, but they ended up coming out of in Tokyo. So they went down to come up. Did you notice that, Jay?
Yeah, but you notice they went down in Antarctica and came up in Tokyo.
Oh, yeah. It's like that one movie on Netflix that called As Above, So Below. They go so deep into the ground, bro. They end up coming up upside down. Have you guys ever seen that? As Above? Oh, it's pretty interesting. But I remember seeing that last night, and I thought, oh, well, they did say gravity was inverted. Maybe that's why they jumped downwards into the hole and ended up coming up.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Because I couldn't figure out that part, how they... And so, like, when they enter up, they didn't have to go through a portal again?
No, because Godzilla blew straight through. All the way through.
I wonder why we couldn't just dig all the way through.
Well, I mean, I don't think there would be no... I mean, I can see that, but there would be no point if there was a door. You just got to jump in the hole.
Right, but that door it kind of launches you 1,000 miles per hour. You know? Kind of.
Well, again, you a Titan, so...
But
that's nothing. You can do that.
I wonder in real life if there's an actual portal like that you got to go through to get there. Definitely very fascinating, all the symbolism in the movie. I know there's definitely a lot of truth in it, you know. So yeah, this was one I really enjoyed though, Dom.
And two things I wanted to say. One, have you heard of Operation Looking Glass?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember we was talking about outer space, and remember the comment about Elon Musk saying he wanted to go back to Mars?
Yes.
Well, like I said, outer space ain't up. It's outside of the ice wall. It's something called the summer gates that open a certain time of year that the, people of power know about. So, that's for another story.
That's interesting. So you think that's where he wants to go, to the other land masses on outside the ice wall?
Yeah, because that's the trick. Like I said, that's the whole illusion, is that's just a theory of mine. Is like, because again, everything that we know when they do it is always the opposite. So if they taught you your whole life that outer space was up, then again, why didn't nobody think common sense? You can have an outer space of anything. So if they just telling you that outer space is up, why not never think that there's outer space is literally outside of the ice wall, and Mars is a planet, and so is like Saturn, but it's outside of the ice wall. It's not up. Literally, that's why you on all parts of the world, if you take the ocean and go so far, you literally, once you get to the, I want to say the 80th or 60th parallel, you get the government from whatever region you in coming to you and telling you you can't go no further than here because, again, that's going towards the ice wall. You're not supposed to be that far. There's like, that's a real thing that ties into the Antarctic Treaty.
Yeah, there's people that theorize, anyways, that there's like 33 other land masses out there on the other side of the ice wall. You know, people have different.
172.
Yeah, people have different numbers. I've heard so many different numbers, but yeah, it's definitely very interesting about.
Even like that's why it ties into his dark material when they took the portal and went to the land.
Whoa, what happened? I think we lost Oh, my phone died. Sorry, Dom. That's what happened.
No.
Yeah, that my phone died. Oh well,
shoot.
we'll do another one with Dom. Damn, I can't believe that happened. Of course, my phone dies as we're doing it, but I want to do one on the his dark material anyways. And I see someone in the comments say, "What is Operation Looking Glass?" If you look it up, it was operation in 1961. It was introduced by the U.S. Air Force Strategic Command on February 3rd, 1961. And they say it was to take over operational control of nuclear forces if the ground-based command centers were destroyed. But there's a lot of connections on the CIA's website to them developing technology to be able to look into the future. And that's what I think Dom was talking about with it, with Operation Looking Glass. Have you ever heard of that one, Jay?
I have. I was just reading up on it. I was asking ChatGPT what it was.
Yeah, it's fascinating, bro. I found a bunch of weird things on it. And they were doing all kinds of different experiments, bro. Like with psychic people and all kinds of crazy stuff, man. It's definitely a fascinating subject. We could do a freaking whole episode on that. They declassified a bunch of files for Operation Looking Glass that got declassified in 2012 on the CIA's website. So you can find a bunch of stuff on it for all you guys out there in the comments. Like they were using it to spy on different countries and all kinds of stuff. So there's some really cool research out there, and I definitely believe we had some technology like that. 100%.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Dude, like, what are they doing in Antarctica? Anybody? You know what I mean? Like, I could care less about all of their actual, like, oh well, here's a good reason we came up with. It's frozen wasteland of ice. Like common sense says that there should not be people down there because there's no good reason to go down there. And yet they keep on going back there. Celebrities go back there. The governments go back there and they all agree to leave it alone. And then they keep on going back with these strange operational names. Hitler took his army down there to look for butter, basically.
Yeah.
Like Nazi butter in Antarctica. All these dumb reasons. And how are the common people out there? I mean, I guess I just answered the question, but it just blows my mind that people are not putting two and two together and saying, hey, wait a minute, why don't you tell the truth? What's really happening? Because we're not stupid. You know, why are you going out into an Arctic or Antarctic wasteland if there's nothing there and there's nothing of importance? Oh, we're going to study ice. Well, don't we have some ice that you can study
right.
without spending millions of dollars or, you know?
And plus, how did they get
What's
everybody
cold there?
How'd they get everybody to agree on it, bro? Like, that's crazy. You can't get none of these countries to agree on nothing, and you got them all to agree on this treaty. But yeah. The Project Looking Glass, that's one to definitely look into, guys. Give you a little homework to look into.
Bro, check this out. Will you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
We just bring up a picture of a looking glass.
Yeah. Let me see here. Looking glass. Just like a normal one?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Oh wow, a band came up when I put that on in Looking Glass. Are you talking about the circle ball kind?
Nope.
Because there's different ones on it. Why don't you pull it on your screen? I'll just give you
All right.
screen control.
Yeah, I wanted to show you some stuff anyways.
That way you can show me some cool stuff. Just
All right,
add
cool.
your screen and give Jay control of the live. Shout out to everybody in the comments too, guys. I can't believe you got this many people stayed in here this whole live hour and 40 minutes. We had a lot of people in here the whole time, man. But this was definitely a really cool conversation. I enjoyed this one. I had fun watching it.
Are you done? I'm not done.
No,
Stop
no,
sounding
but I
like
mean,
we're leaving.
it was a fun one. I really enjoyed doing it.
All right, boom. I got a looking glass picture.
Just add it. Go to present. Why is my phone not charging? This is so bizarre. Must be. Oh, I had the charger turned off. I'm so dumb.
Window? Do I click window, right?
Yeah, just go to present and go hit share screen. And then I'll add yours and they'll be able to
this should be right.
Yeah, I see it now. Add to stage. Boom. And then I'll turn it full screen so they can see whatever you're seeing.
Okay, cool. All right, sweet. I'm getting the hang of this. So this is a looking glass. It's a magnifying glass. Essentially, it's for people to magnify an image so that they can look and see because it makes it bigger. It's just an old-fashioned word for magnifying glass. This, symbolically speaking, represents the blue beam shooting up and touching the eye in the sky, which is the magnifying glass, which is the firmament, which is why we have a point of focus, the sun or whatever, that redistributes light and gives us daytime and stuff, right? This is all the same stuff. It's high jump, it's looking glass, it's moon blink, it's Dominic. All this stuff has to do with this, which this and this together equate to the apocalypse. Okay, so the beam or the handle of this looking glass, and then the circle, which is the eye piece, it's actually called that. Together, when they're together, it represents the apocalypse, basically. And this circular piece represents the firmament, or I believe that Antarctica, or what we call Antarctica, is two parts. It's part land and part ice, which the ice portion is a part of the firmament, which means that these are the ice walls, or these are the walls of ice that bend around. You could walk on them because density and pressure and buoyancy are going to keep you pinned to the outside or the parameters of the balloon that we live in. Like if you blow up a balloon, all the pressure is on the surface of the balloon, both inside and out. There's no pressure in the middle of the balloon. You know what I mean? It's all pressing against the outer edges. So if you were in Antarctica and Antarctica was a part of the dome or the firmament, theoretically speaking, because of the changes in environment and atmosphere, etc., you'd be able to walk along the ice wall and it would gradually just incline, but you wouldn't really notice it because your normal would stay normal, even though you're eventually going to become upside down and walking on the ceiling above where the
That's
ice giants
interesting.
live.
I found your freaking YouTube too, because I seen you comment in the comments. So you need to start putting some of these videos up here, guys. I'll share his link too. Columinati, Indiana. You know, I'm sending him a computer for Christmas so he can start doing some videos and stuff because he's got a lot of cool information and he's trying to start doing podcasts. But yeah, Jay, that's very interesting. So what is your theory on Project Looking Glass? What do you think they were doing? Do you think they're trying to reset time before these cyclical events happen? Maybe.
I don't believe that it's possible to reset time, just because I don't believe in time as it's commonly believed or perceived as. But hold on, I'm getting lost. I need a quick second because I got way too much stuff pulled up and I got lost. I forgot where we are. There you are. Okay, cool. I see you. Now, I would like to share my screen real quick. Keep that question in mind. I would
Your
like
screen's
to
already up, brother.
I'd like to share a different screen though. How do I change it? I'm gonna present
Okay.
again and then do share screen. And then this time I'm gonna share this. Can I share my video? Yes. I'm gonna share this right here. So I'd like to explain first why, because you had expressed that you had an issue with Kong falling through the earth, and he's going so fast he doesn't just slam down and die, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
I
let
know
me
it's
show you. So let me show you a possibility, right? So imagine that this is our world right here. And I've got an image of the older cosmology as it's portrayed by all of everyone's ancestors, right? So imagine it's like a snow globe right here in the middle. Now outside, we are actually at the bottom of a crater, or this is a magnetic bowl represented by these red stripes off to the sides, okay? These are the mountains that you'll see depicted on ancient cosmologies where they show you a picture. Usually they'll have some sort of a flat world, a dome, an inner earth underneath, you know what I mean? But they always have these two huge mountains off to the side. I don't know if you ever saw that, but I could show you. So if these are magnetic in nature, they'll create a magnetic dome at the center. If there's a hole down here that leads you and me into the hollow earth. So imagine this flat line right here, this yellow band. At the top of that, physical substance is created from gases and electricity and things like that. So you get the earth, or the physical actual world, or the terra that we live on the surface. So we would live up here. All of these arrows represent where energy is flowing. This bubble on the top represents the firmament, or the physical portion of what we call the sky and the limitation of the quote unquote heavens. And within that, you can see how pressure acts. Do you see how towards the top of the firmament, pressure is pushing up against it?
Right.
And then down here where we are, pressure is pushing down to the surface. But if you're NASA or Elon and you shoot a rocket high enough, you get up here to a neutral point where there is no pressure. And then underneath us, where the physical terra or the world is, the energy starts to flow downward, but the electromagnetic flow constricts. And what happens is you have this yellow ring, which is called a flip ring, and it flips that energy and everything upside down. The next ring underneath that is called the choke ring. And this is where you cannot go further unless the electromagnetics are turned off.
Maybe that's where the whole Stranger Things upside down. I wonder if that has any connection.
Yeah, all you got to do is take another one of these and flip it upside down and put it underneath it, and that's what it would be. So this choke ring is a barrier. It's an electromagnetic barrier, and there would be so much pressure here that it'd be physically improbable for a human unprotected and unprepared to get through that. You would pass out. Even if you got close, if you try to go through it, you'd probably die.
Right.
If it's up and running.
In the ocean, right?
But if you get near to it, just like the other smaller forms of it, because these are all toroidal fields and within toroidal fields. Shout out to Santos, who actually put out a video about that earlier.
Shout out to my boy in the Hearth book too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I like his work too. So this is the sky, or the dome of the world. Okay. There's actually an inverted dome right here at the top too, but this is the sky up here. Boom. This above the yellow line is the physical world where we live. Below this yellow line, all that energy and stuff flips upside down. It's called the flip ring. After that is the limitation. That's the boundary of Hades. That's the boundary of Tartarus and Sheol and the underworld is here. You cannot cross this physically unless you know a way, right? But I imagine it's pretty difficult. You cannot cross this until the world, which is represented by all of what you see here and what you don't underneath it, it goes through a neutral point electromagnetically speaking, because all of this pressure and everything it'll disappear. There will be no energy barrier. What's that called? Like an energy barrier. You know what I'm talking about? I always forget the word for that.
I wouldn't. I'm an energy barrier, right? I
Yeah,
don't know what.
yeah, right. There's a more common. It's like an energetic wall or whatever. Anyways, that goes down. Okay, so then the inner Earth creatures and people, they can come up and they can freely travel while it's down. We can go down there while it's down, but once it comes back up, you're
Force
locked
field?
in or you're locked out.
Someone said force field in the comments.
Force field. Yes, thank you. I always forget that word.
Shout out to that person.
Yeah, so I'll play this one more time so you can. I superimposed the old cosmology on top of it. You can see where we live here at the top of the flip ring on the surface, right? Sheol matches up to the world between the flip ring and the choke ring here. And then once you pass the choke ring, you would go down into yet another world. Anyways, so my point with this, let me stop sharing my screen here. Oh, I did.
That's
all right, thank you.
Though. So why would Kong not die? That's what you were getting to.
Kong, what people refer to as gravity would reverse. Okay, the pressure is much different when you go down into the earth, along with the density of objects and the buoyancy of the atmosphere. So it would be like he's jumping into an ocean of like water, imagine, right? But he could survive, and he just slows down because that's the atmosphere changing as he goes downwards. And once he gets, if he wasn't going so fast, he'd get stuck in the sky down there. You know what I mean? He had to go really fast in order to barely make it to the actual surface to break through the buoyancy factor.
He does
that would keep
fly
him
for a
floating.
minute. He does fly for a minute when the purple rocks are there. Remember, he starts flying and shit.
That represents the neutral point, right? So he's on one mountain and he's looking up at what would be the heavens or the sky, but he sees land up there basically because it's solid, and he's able to jump. And that neutral point shows you the asteroid belt. It shows you space where NASA goes up and puts stuff up there or whatever, because there's a neutral point up there where there is no pressure or anything. And if you can get close enough to it, you could just jump and float right through it to the other side, and you could flip upside down and it'll pull you in the proper direction and you'll be righted. You know what I mean?
Do you think NASA's been up there?
What?
To what you're talking about?
I'm talking about in the earth.
Oh, but you just said that's where NASA goes to put satellites and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So earlier, remember I showed you that little dome?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the middle of that, all the pressure is pushing on the outer extremities of it. So the outer extremity for us is the surface we live on, and then the dome wrapping around this, above. So the pressure is all pushing. It all exists to the extremities of our world. Okay, up above here where we live, but especially below us, actually, it's way more pressure. And then in the middle, up there in the sky, in what's called space, where it gets dark, it stands to reason that things would be able to float, but they're not outside of the firmament. They're within the firmament. They're just super high up.
Oh, okay.
They're not high enough to break all the way through to the top or to the ceiling. I don't know if they have or not, but if they have, that's the moon. Is a portion of the firmament up there above us.
That's what you think the moon is, a portion of that firmament.
The actual physical moon, yeah.
So the
other moon is just a projection of it.
So they can't land on that damn thing.
Not the one you see up there in the sky. The real moon's invisible right now. You can't see it.
Why do they lie to us so much, man? It's so annoying, bro. God, it
irritates.
Well,
I have to assume that they have their reasons, and in their minds, they believe that it's beneficial to them at least. So
Maybe people ain't ready to fathom the real reality of this world, right?
well, if we were to test that out and we were to use as a determining factor the general and overall condition of humanity, then I would say no, we have not passed that test collectively. Individuals have,
Some individuals, right?
but from my perspective, if I was a judge, I would say no, humanity has not learned its lesson.
Like,
It has
imagine
not
telling
passed.
everybody, Jay, hey, by the way, everything's cyclical. And, every so often, 90% of the world might get killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
People would not respond well to that.
Well, at first they wouldn't in this modern world. But if we were to start over, that's the first thing I'm going to tell my children. And that's the
Yeah,
first thing I'm going to tell all the survivors that I meet. And we're going to talk about it. And we're going to make sure that it's known. And we pass the stories on and on and on and on, right? I'm going to.
yeah, if you really understand the true nature of reality, it's not scary because death ain't the end. So even if you die, who cares? I'm not scared to die. I know, I'm not. Energy never dies. It's a proven fact. It just it mutates into something else. So you're made out of pure energy. That means you're not going to just be destroyed. Like some people think, oh, you just die and that's it. You don't remember nothing. You don't go nowhere. No, I don't believe that. You probably start over again. Some of us start over who ain't ready. And then there's other people that go maybe to the higher realms. That's my theory, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I feel that spirits also cannot leave this world until the apocalypse. And when the apocalypse comes, the energy is released and the spirits are released as well. And there's also spirits that come on in. So there's the old ones leave, they get rest, they get to, to leave the world. Until then, they just gather in their little vortices or whatnot and they meet up. But they're the first ones to go. They're the first ones. They're the first of the dead to be accepted into the kingdom of heaven, you could say, which
When
is
the
like the aurora borealis and stuff like that.
Oh, bro, that's so crazy. Thank you for reminding me of saying aurora borealis. Okay, so Jay, you notice this is the last thing we'll talk about before we wrap this up because I got to eat these chicken wings that just came. They look so good. But
Good
so
idea.
okay, there's this new movie out, and have you noticed all the uptick in like from North America? People are seeing the aurora borealis from places they've never seen it before, and there's a whole conspiracy saying when Nibiru was going to happen, you would see the aurora borealis from the states down here, and they just came out with this new Christmas movie. Hold on a second. It's called what's it called? A wonderful, a wonderful knife miss. Hold on, let me make sure I got this right. Let me. I screenshotted it. Or a wonderful knife, like a wonderful life, but it's called a wonderful knife. And in it, he's stabbing a hole through the firm. I got to show you this, Jay. Hold on. And in this movie, she wishes upon the aurora borealis that she was never born, right? And then it starts her day back over and she sees what society is like without her being born. And the killer that she had stopped, he like takes over in the whole town. They're doing drugs now. Everybody's strung out. The town is destroyed, and this guy is going to control everything. Now, in the original version, before she said, I wish I was never born, she had stopped him, so her brother was still alive. And it just kind of showed her a perspective of the world if she wasn't born. And then, so she had to restart time. She had to kill him again and then in the new timeline, bro, her dad was the killer. Her dad, not, so it wasn't the dude. It ended up being her dad because the original killer killed her dad's son. And it made her dad go crazy, and then he carried on the killings for that guy, and he killed all the people that own businesses in that area, like their children, so they couldn't inherit the businesses, and he could take over the whole town. It was actually a really good movie. It's called It's a Wonderful Knife, and he's stabbing a
Yeah,
freaking knife in the firmament, dude.
bro, that's the Christmas Day catastrophe theme that I mention quite often. And they're showing you him, like you said, breaking open. They always break that. If you see a damn snow globe in a movie, wait for it to be broken. Watch, they're gonna break a snow globe. I promise. If they show
They
you
did
one, they're
that
probably
in Fringe
gonna
too.
break it.
They
And
took
that's the
2 snow
breaking of the
globes.
firmament.
Yep, they took 2 of them in Fringe and said it was like smashing. They were talking about how these Nephilim were trying to merge the 2 worlds.
Yes,
And
yes, that's what it is. It's worlds colliding or whatever.
yep,
It's the
that's what she
firmament
said. She
breaking
said it's
open.
the 2 worlds colliding. Yep,
That's
that's
exactly what
crazy.
it is. And it's a Christmas Day catastrophe. There's two. One, you always notice like a lot of these horror movies, they take place on or around Christmas or on or around the summer solstice. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's the solstice catastrophes. And if it's the Christmas one, you'll notice that there's usually a lot of like flood symbolism and flood waters or things getting wet and flooding over or whatever. If it's the summer one, you notice it's a lot of things burning and heat and the sun being bright or whatever. Like those are the two different apocalyptic cycles. And they show you this in the Christmas movies, and that's why there's so many. That's why Christmas movies as horror movies are so popular. They don't have all their holidays, they have some horror themes or whatever, but nothing like Christmas, you know, because
Yeah.
when the Savior is born, this is in the Bible. Okay. When Jesus was crucified, according to one of the gospels, he was born into the heavens, right? So that's like the day he was born again, basically. He was born into the heavens, you could say. But on the day he was crucified, that's the blue beam retracting. Okay, it's the blue beam coming down, all that stuff. It says that zombies walked around. It doesn't use the word zombie, but it says the dead got up out of the tombs and were seen by other people. There was witnesses that saw dead people walking around on the day that Jesus was crucified, because this is the apocalyptic event that happens when he's crucified and when he's born, or you could say resurrected, right? It's a cycle of the light of the world emerging and then disappearing, and then emerging and then disappearing. And they coincide with the world being burned by fire from above, or the world being inundated with water from above and below, actually. So you have the Christmas Day catastrophes, and you'll be surprised how many horror movies that take place on Christmas, or even apocalyptic movies that take place. Watch the dates, watch the time of year, and see if it's a solstice. Because I promise, like Home Alone, that's obviously a Christmas Day catastrophe movie. Gremlins, they don't make a big deal about it being Christmas time in some of these movies, and in some of these movies, it's irrelevant. It could have been any time. You know what I mean? Because some of these
Right.
movies are not Christmas movies at all. Like The Princess Bride, that was a Christmas movie. You know what I mean? They show you this in the movie, but they don't make a big deal about it. But they chose the time of the year because it coincides with the events that they're showing you symbolically of true events that have happened on those times of the year.
That's interesting. They have been coming out with a lot of new Christmas horror movies, haven't they, dude?
Yeah, because it all ties in to the Christmas apocalypse. Or I mean, it actually happens before Christmas, just so everyone knows, so you're not all like, oh, I'm just gonna wait till Christmas. The apocalypse comes before Christmas. Like before the light of the world is born and the Redeemer comes, it has to reach its worst. It has to get to its very worst before the people cry out in soul and mind and body that we need a deliverer, that we need help beyond ourselves. And then the light of the world emerges. Boom.
And
And
that represents Jesus.
it represents many savior figures and heroes and heroines and gods and goddesses, and Jesus is definitely one.
That's interesting. You know what I just noticed? So I didn't even notice this when I was taking this screenshot, that freaking address back there. I just went and looked because you guys know me with numbers. So but I had no idea when I took that screenshot. I was just kind of taking a couple screenshots because I wanted to share the connection to the firmament and him punching a hole through the knife, right? Oh, with the knife. But then I went and looked. I knew that's a long 12, 4, 5, 5. I'm like, man, that's a long word. So that's going to equal like a whole sentence in Gematria. And it said, what is the groups and individuals who have obscured laws and liberties need to make it very clear to the people before they carry out a life in prison term without a chance of parole if you obscure their laws. That's pretty weird. And it only has like 4 matches in that cipher, and that was one of them. I'm like, that's interesting. That's their address too. 12455. So if
Yeah.
you obscure their laws, you might do life in prison without parole. It's interesting that that's there subliminally. Your subconscious is registering that without you even realizing it. But yeah, that was a good one, Jay. I think you would like that one, brother, if you go back and watch it. And I
It's a
guarantee
wonderful knife.
you'll find connections I never even found, because she even says when she wishes on the Aurora Borealis, oh, we never usually see the Aurora Borealis from this town. So they don't
Yeah, it's
say
an omen.
they don't say what town they're in. And then she has to set everything straight before the Aurora Borealis disappears.
Yo, bro, there's historic records apart from religion, apart from myth or old wives' tales or you know what I mean, rumors and speculation. There's written records that were collected in the known world during the Dark Ages, where I'm specifically thinking about the Anglo-Saxon chronicles, which is the Anglo-Saxons were spread and diverse, and they decided to take a writing of the known history from the perspectives of each one of their monasteries. So they had somebody go to each monastery and collect the written history, because they had a log at the monastery of what happened every day, significant events that happened each day. And they went and collected all these logs, and then they put them in a collection almost like a Bible, and it acts as actual historic record from a time where academics teaches us we have no historic records, or we hardly have any information about what happened during those times. These Anglo-Saxon chronicles describe the glory of God reaching out from the north and covering most of the world, which is like the auroras reaching way out further than they normally would, because it talks about glory, which means glowing, basically. And it talks about there being 2 moons sighted in the sky. And this is before cameras, so you can't say it was a trick of the lens or anything like that. This was human eyeball saw 2 moons in the sky. It talks about these wonderful serpents that came down from the skies and, you know, gave people issues and problems and stuff. It talked about weird objects and glowing lights and a cross that was seen, like a red cross that was seen up in the sky, I think in the moon, and some other things as well. And it even mentions the blue beam. It talks about how the blue beam was seen. You know, some people are familiar with it being called the Phoenix, you know, or whatever.
Yep.
But it talks about how the blue beam was seen by these people. And it doesn't always have to last, you know, like these polarity shifts that we go through or fluctuations. They don't have to last for an age or an eon or 100 years. Some of them can last, you know, a very short amount of time, like a few hours or whatever, and they flare up. And we get a little preview of the actual apocalypse through these cataclysms. For me, there's a difference between cataclysm and apocalypse. Cataclysm is something that happens that's large, but not worldwide. An apocalypse is something that happens to everybody, to the entire world all at one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is actual real written records of these events that happened and of these celestial things that were seen in the skies. And we have the Anglo-Saxons sharing that with us through their documentation of history that was cataloged. You know what I mean? And we can't pass it off as just they were stupid Dark Age people that didn't understand what they were looking at. And you know what I mean? Like these were huge and significant events that were happening frequently. You find these records all throughout these chronicles that they were happening regularly up until a certain time when they slowed down, and they started slowing down and slowing down and slowing down over time when we had these anomalies of cosmic proportions and terrestrial proportions and whatnot happening. And this also coincides with like the ancient Hebrew idea of the Jubilee, or even the Anunnakis, home planet returning, or what was it? Maybe it wasn't Nibiru, but I think it was like Zechariah Sitchin said that Venus came every 50 years. And got too close to the Earth.
And
so
grabbed
it was
hold of its magnetic field. That was his
yeah,
theory.
and it caused these types of events to happen. And we have records of that going back as long ago as the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages, at least, all the way until the Renaissance, up towards the Renaissance period.
Well, you're okay, Jay. You're out there and freaking you're in the safe zone from what Chan Thomas said.
We'll find out.
We'll find out, dude. I'm coming out there with you, bro. I'm taking
District 12. You're gonna come visit District 12?
I'm coming to visit District 12 in the Hunger Games, bro.
Yeah, dude. DA, NORAD, freaking a million Air Force bases. We got
Denver Air Force. That was in that Netflix series they just canceled called The Inside Job. It's a cartoon on Netflix. Dude, you gotta watch it. They have the Denver Air Force on there, or the Denver airport. They got Blucifer. They got shape-shifting reptilians. It's just so funny, dude. I actually did a decode on it, and that's the one I was telling you. I figured out that if you put an AI overlay over it, they don't flag your video. I actually got it monetized, and I shared an 8-minute clip directly off Netflix. So I'm going to try that on my YouTube and see if I can get away with it. And if I do, dude, oh boy, that opens a whole new world up for us with decoding movies, because then we can just put an AI overlay on it and share the actual clip of the movie. Just make it kind of look cartoonish with that AI overlay. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And they can't do nothing. You made it your own content. But yeah, shout out to everybody in the comments. I'm going to eat my Wingstop, and this was a great live, guys. You haven't seen me in the last couple of days, family, because I just got my new place, so I'll be all moved in by Monday, and then I'll be back on my normal schedule. Tomorrow I'm not really doing nothing. I'm just doing decodes all day. I gotta catch up on that. We had our Thanksgiving on the 18th, the 322nd day of the year, which is a weird day my mother picked. I don't know. I said, Mom, do you know today is Skull and Bones Day? But she don't know none of that stuff. She just picked that day because now all the kids are older and everybody has, they're married and they go to their husband or wife's house on Thanksgiving. I never go nowhere, bro. I just chill, smoke a few blunts, and relax. I take it a day to chill to myself, What are you doing? You going to see your mom tomorrow, Jay?
Yeah, she cooked a big old dinner, so I'll go over there and hang out with my mom. And I think she said she wants to play Bible trivia game that she has or something. So go over there and hang out with her.
Bible trivia.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, man. Well, definitely thanks for coming on for this one, brother. I really, really appreciated it. Whenever you watch the Hunger Games, we'll watch that together. We'll do that one, and I'm waiting for you to see the Marvels, because I want to do the Marvels with you too, bro. I think that.
All right. Well, I'm looking for both of them, so we'll do it pretty soon.
Yeah. So thanks everybody in the comments. All Jay's links are down in the description. All my links are in the description. Dominic's links are in the description. Dom, I know you're still watching. Thank you for coming on, brother. We love you, and you did a great job. So go check out Dom, guys. He'll be doing a lot more work later on. And I hope you guys just have an amazing holiday. And shout out to all the Native American people out there. Them are the ones we should really be honoring on this day. So we love y'all. Hit that like button. We're out of here.